The VGRT Gaming Podcast, episode 710, recorded on January 16th, 2024.
Welcome to the 710th edition of the TD Gaming Podcast and 543rd episode of Video Game Roundtable. I am TJ Dinzer.
I am Scott Durr.
And I am Jonah Falcon.
The VGRT Gaming Podcast focuses on game news from around the industry.
Right. I'm just confused with this news item here. How in the world did Biden win the GOP Iowa caucus?
What?
That's strange.
I have no idea. This is news to me.
It's weird. It's very weird. How is that possible? Anyways, we're going to talk about video games. What have you been playing there, TJ?
Okay, I need to figure out what the non-embargoed answer is for this. You know what? This last weekend, I was on a business trip, and I played Smite. Do y'all remember Smite? It's a MOBA
it's getting a sequel, yeah.
Yeah. It's from the Hi-Rez Studios. It's a MOBA that just features gods. It's behind the shoulder instead of top down like League of Legends. And they had their World Championship this last weekend, and they unveiled Smite 2. And I got to fiddle around with it a little bit. I gotta say, the big thing about this is that they're moving from Unreal Engine 3 to not Unreal Engine 4, Unreal Engine 3 to Unreal Engine 5, and what a facelift for that game! The characters look so much more in Unreal Engine 5, and it was really cool. As far as just the mechanics go, it was Smite. It felt like I haven't played since probably season 3, and they're in season 10 now. But for me, it felt like getting back on a bicycle, and when that bicycle is Loki and he's like an assassin, a stabby assassin in that game, that bicycle is very, very backstabby.
Just go ahead.
It is like the typical MOBA setup where you have 3 lanes, you have teams of 5, you have gods that are assassin types, you have gods that are brawler and tank types, you have gods that are mage and caster types, and it's really cool what they're doing with that sequel, because Smite, the original Smite has been around for more than 10 years.
Well, here's the thing. It was first in open beta. Well, first it was in closed beta in 2012, and then it was in open beta in 2013. It was officially released on March 25th, 2014, and guess what month they're saying it's coming? Smite 2 is coming out, so it might be exactly 10 years to the day that the first Smite was officially released.
Mm-hmm.
Although it's a closed alpha.
Right. There's still a long tail on development of this thing. They only had 10 gods in the playtest that I played, and they have 130 in Smite 1. Now, what I can tell you right away is that they want to get to that. They want to get close to that number. They want to bring in all the characters that people have been playing for years, and but it's going to take some time. It won't take as much time as it took to build those characters for Smite 3 because they have an idea of what they want to do with these gods. But they plan to get the number up to about 100 characters by the time that the game releases out of early access and playtesting.
Yeah, and it's funny with Hi-Rez Studios. It's what?
Go ahead.
No, I'm saying it's funny with Hi-Rez Studios. It's they keep on trying to get another MOBA out there. I mean, they did Paladins, that failed.
Mm-hmm.
They did Rogue Company, that failed.
Right. And for them, at this point, Smite is the one that people have kind of stayed with. it has a pretty passionate community. It has a working esports scene, which, interestingly enough, the teams that are in the Smite Esports League are they're not Optic, they're not Fnatic, they're not they're not the typical esports organizations that we've seen failing over the years. These are teams that are specifically built up for Smite.
Yeah.
It's just kind of interesting. Like this game, yeah, you're right. Hi-Rez has seen a lot of misses over the year with their attempts to branch out from that one, but it kind of all just ends up going back to Smite because that's the one that works the best for them.
And Smite also has one of the most toxic communities out there too.
Yeah, I don't know much about that.
It's notoriously toxic.
I can see that because it's a MOBA for one, and MOBAs just kind of bring bad vibes out of people, in my opinion. I think the only one that I've ever played that didn't do that was Pokemon Unite, and the reason for that is that Pokemon Unite doesn't have any text communication in it. So you can't talk to people and tell them how much you hate them.
Scott, what have you been playing?
I've been playing the Prince of Persia demo. I decided to try that out when they announced that. It's a 2D side scroller, which I know is a departure from the current line of Prince of Persia games that have been out.
Yeah, but it's also going back to the original Jordan Mechner game.
Yes. I used to play the old 1980s version of Prince of Persia, and that one was very much like kind of its own unique platforming adventure game. And this is, it goes back to it. So you're like exploring, the terrain, and it's you got these little amulets that you put on your necklace, and they give you different powers and abilities. You have a bow and the sword attack, and it's the movements are really nice and smooth, and I enjoy the atmosphere of the place that they designed. It looks really nice. So I mean, it looks like a good game.
I haven't really played anything new. We know what we're going to be playing after this weekend, so.
Are you ready to take the dive into PAL World?
Oh, yes. I'll try not to eat my Pokemon. But mostly I've been playing a lot of City Skylines too. I've also been replaying Middle-earth: Shadow of War, and it's hard to remember. This game came out over 5 years ago. It still plays and is buttery smooth, and it still feels like a game that was released yesterday. It's really, really, really holding up. I can't say the same about Shadow of War. Shadow of War is a little janky, but Shadow of Mordor is kind of janky, the first game, but Shadow of War is so good. It's still so good. And I've just been recording it for a Let's Play. So, but other than that, yeah, just City Skylines too. Just tweaking here, going there. I don't know if we have it as a news items. Oh yeah, we're going to be talking about City Skylines in a moment. But we're going to go with quick news right now. Facebook rejects ads for popular board game Votes for Women, saying it may impact the outcome of an election or pending legislation. Okay, so two things. One, this is the second edition of the game. Two, this is about women's suffrage. Facebook, are you saying talking about women voting is going to affect the election? Is there a sizable group out there who don't want women to vote? Well, actually, don't answer that because I know the answer to that.
Which board game was this for?
Votes for Women. It's a board game.
Oh,
it came out a while ago, and they're doing their second edition. They're updating it, and it's all about women's suffrage. And Facebook is nervous that somehow this is going to affect the election.
I don't know. That doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, Facebook is going to get worse and worse this year, like they did in 2020 and like they did in 2016.
Yeah,
in this case,
2020 was going to. I'm sorry, I knew 2024 was going to suck even before getting into it because you know what we're going to deal with now.
Well, here's the thing: is that the problem is that it was an automated denial, and you know what it's like trying to get people on Facebook. Everything is AI. You can't talk to people, and if you try to contest it, it automatically rejects you no matter what. It's like no one checks it. So this is just yet another bad look for Facebook. So the next news item, the next quick news is first Tekken 8 DLC character is revealed as Eddie Gordo. DJ, why don't you talk about this, because you probably know more about this character than I do.
Eddie Gordo is the capoeira representative of Tekken. He does a lot of odd moves, a lot of a lot of dancing in his combat, and he's very hard to pin down. He's also a little bit difficult to play, but as far as I remember, if you learned Eddie Gordo, you were annoying. He's a monster in capable hands. I saw a lot of folks a little chilled out on him with the hairdo, because that hairdo that he's sporting in Tekken 8 has kind of been, well, we'll say overused on black characters in recent media. Like it goes back to Killmonger and Black Panther. Like, he was the one where people kind of noticed that hairstyle and were like, oh man, that hairstyle looks great. And then we started seeing it on other characters. Like we've seen it on DJ's third outfit in Street Fighter 6 uses it now. There was another prominent one that I remembered recently that got it, and I can't pull it to. People point at Echo from League of Legends, but I think that he predated Killmonger. Either way, a silly bit of business, but I do think that it's like kind of a sad state that like that is the hairstyle that they apply to a lot of characters nowadays.
Frosted dreads. In case people are wondering, it's frosted dreads.
Mm-hmm. Either way, Eddie Gordo is a cool character to start with. I think a lot of folks wanted him back either way, and I think that once they get a chance to play him and feel him out in Tekken 8, they'll probably care less about the hair and more about the character and how he plays. Or at least I would hope so, because he is cool. Like, I'm happy to see him back.
And Tekken 8 comes out in just 10 days.
Yep.
The 26th on Friday.
We are right around the corner.
And you're excited.
Absolutely. This is probably going to be the best fighting game this year, unless something crazy happens. Like somebody... Like, I can't imagine SNK shadow dropping Guro 2, but that is like one of the few things I could think that could compete with this.
Next news item is American Truck Simulator heading to Missouri in latest announced expansion, and this comes after being in Nebraska and Arkansas. I'm going to tell you something. Euro Truck Simulator 2 is overwhelmingly positive on Steam with over 500,000 reviews. Euro Truck Simulator and American Truck Simulator are huge. American Truck Simulator came out back in 2016, and here's the thing, Bus Simulator has gone downhill for me, with 18 and 21. You've seen me play it, a TJ. So I think I might give American Truck Simulator a chance because I did enjoy another trucking sim that was on Xbox. American Truck Simulator is only on PC. It's only on Steam. So I'm definitely going to try it at some point. They don't have New York yet. And if they do have... See, here's the thing. New York might be too small for them. So it's sort of like New York tri-state area. So you have New Jersey and Connecticut attached. Fine. Also, popular jail simulator Prison Architect will get a 3D successor and will release on PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series XX on March 26th. I saw the trailer, and it's like everybody's just popping into 3D. Have you ever played the original Prison Architect?
No, I've not.
Okay. So it's highly regarded, and I remember back when it first came out, it's sort of like when it was on Strategy Informer, it's sort of like I had to talk about each and every update to the beta. Prison Architect 2 is going to have better AI when it comes to prisoners forming alliances and enemies in prison. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. I always thought this style of game is a little bit dystopian, especially given the conversations over the last few years.
What, you mean
I
prisons
guess
or the game type entirely? Because I know you've been playing the theme games.
Which ones?
Theme games, like a 2 Point Hospital and 2 Point Campus.
No, yeah, I love those games. I love 2 Point Campus. I find the prison architect type thing a little bit. I don't know.
It's really not dystopian. You have to care for your prisoners, and you have to make sure, that they're happy. You have to make sure they're not rebellious. You have to, but you also have to be strict. So there's sort of like that balance going on in which you don't want to be authoritarian, but you also don't want to be too loose because people will escape and people will have fights in the courtyard and that sort of thing. And the AI is supposed to be incredible. The prisoner AI. So there was another game. What was that game that was you trying to break out of prison? Because there was another. It wasn't Prison's Architect. It was a different game. Oh, The Escapist. The Escapist. Oh. Yeah, The Escapist. You remember that? You know that game? This is the reverse of that. There, you're a prisoner, and here you're the warden. Anyways, we're moving on to game news, and we're going to get depressing right now. City Skylines 2 community is getting more toxic, and this comes from some Video Games SI. Colossal Order, the developer of City Skylines 2, has returned from the holidays, and one that includes a bleaky blog post by the company CEO Marina Halakanainen on the state of the game. Her first address of 2024 reiterated that mod support would be the highest priority for everyone in the team at the moment, but upgrades to stability and performance of the upcoming console version were progressing in parallel. Halakanainen stated another patch would be released ahead of the mod editor's release for the focus on fixing the simulation and visual errors. However, the large part of the blog covers the topic of toxicity in the community, which has been getting worse since the controversy around City Skylines 2's launch last year. Last but not least, but we have seen a growing tendency of toxicity in our community, something we have not experienced to this extent before, not only towards our devs, but also our fellow community members, resulting in people hesitating to engage with the community, the CEO wrote. Halakanainen hasn't touched on this topic for the first time in this latest blog entry, as she herself admitted. Since previous steps to calming the community down failed, she asked for a user's opinion on what steps should be taken next. Should we add more moderation, or is this the only option to pull back our engagement on our end? How can we make sure the community is a safe place for you to share your thoughts and hopes for the game?
Yeah, this sucks.
That's very unfortunate.
It doesn't. I don't know. I've never seen the Cities 2 flubbed it that bad. You would think that the way that some of these people respond to it, it was like the worst thing to ever happen to Cities.
Yeah, and it's not broken, at least not for me. And here's the thing about PC gaming. There's a lot of people who try to do it with a hard drive and 6 megabytes of RAM.
Yeah, there are people that are still trying to run games on Windows 7 that they've been told only run on Windows 10 or 11, and they're still trying to make it work on a previous operating system.
Or Windows XP, for that matter.
Yeah.
And the problem is that there's probably a ton of folks out there that just like Cities and just want to enjoy the community and just want to have a good time building their dream metropolis. And they just get drowned out by these fucking salty losers that have nothing to do but fucking scream about how graphics or fucking not perfect 60 FPS, rah, rah, rah. And it sucks. It sucks that people that just want to enjoy this get drowned out so much that the devs themselves have to say, cool your jets.
There's a lot of entitlement going on, and a lot of these people are under the age of 22 and have no real problems either.
Mm-hmm.
When all you have are video games, then that becomes a big problem, and I'm waiting for them to get a job and worry about getting fired and have to deal with paying for rent. Then we can see, then you can cry and whine, and I'm going to guarantee when you're dealing with real problems, you're not going to cry and whine about a video game. It's not that important in your life.
And it's not that bad. In fact,
I'm loving it.
Yeah, I've been having a good time with it. I hope that they figure out this toxicity problem, because there's a lot of folks out there that just want to have fun, and I hope that those people can enjoy themselves in the community without some bad apples trying to spoil the bunch.
Yeah, but this is how Gamersgate gets up. You Gamergate, not Gamersgate, because Gamersgate is a storefront. I always felt bad for them. Gamersgate has to share a name with Gamergate. Yeah, it's a video game. Get over it. You know, I'm really tired of people just keeping on attacking Starfield, too. It's so coordinated. It's sort of like, no, Microsoft doesn't care so long as they make money. I don't give a shit about your review on Steam. They don't. If it makes money, guess what? It's a win for them, and you can suck it. Because it tells them there are people enjoying Starfield that aren't you, and they're going to cater to them and not you. That's one of the problems I have with Game Pass, is that anybody can plop a review on it if they have Game Pass. So you have these trolls who keep on downvoting these games, you know, especially indie games, which are really good, but they have to download. You have to wait a bit for the actual real reviews to pop in. They should take a page from Steam and just show how much time someone's played on a game when they post a review. That's it. Just show them how much time they played, and you'll see, oh, this person's played 0.001 hours of the game. Oh, we should trust their review.
Yeah, and the fact of the matter is these loud, obnoxious people, they're not the majority. They don't speak for everybody. They think they do. They're entitled and believe they do. But really, it's mostly just annoying.
You know what it reminds me of? I learned that, all the release the Snyder Cut shit, those are mostly bots. And Zack Snyder just encouraged these people to, other people, his followers, to harass people, then had bots, posting these hashtags, you know? It's like, and you wonder why Justice League, the extended cut, made no money. You can't make money that way. It's sort of like, it reminds me of Sony tried to get on its Morbin time and re-release Morbius, and it didn't make the money because it's a fucking meme. No one's gonna go watch your movie for the meme. No one cares.
For sure.
Microsoft's been in the game long enough to know if it's making money, then it's doing something right. Anyways, we're gonna move on to the next item. Go ahead, TJ.
Okay. Twitter ends NFT profile picture support. From Shack News. It would appear that Twitter, now known as X, is shutting down its support of NFT profile pictures on its social media platform. While Elon Musk originally took Twitter in a direction that supports cryptocurrency and NFTs, the hype of non-fungible tokens in general has died down quite a bit since. The removal of NFT support from the Twitter premium pages marks another group withdrawing from the once popular commodity. Twitter's removal of NFTs from its premium subscriber information page was spotted via TechCrunch, originally under the header features available to every premium tier. There was a, quote, create a community section that explained how you could set an NFT as a profile picture after linking Twitter to a crypto wallet. The user's profile pic would then have a special hexagonal border to signify that it was a confirmed NFT. There were further mentions of NFTs, exactly how to set them as profile pics, and other details about their usage on Twitter, as preserved in a previous version of the page on the Internet Archive. All mention of NFTs have now been scrubbed from the live page on Twitter's support website. Some users may still have hexagonal bordered profile pictures, but it remains to be seen if it'll last much longer. Man, and this coincides with the fact that GameStop also killed their NFT marketplace today. NFTs are just dead on the vine.
You know, I hope Square Enix ends their little NFT game.
They did. Now they're all about AI. They're all They just leapt to a new thing. It's like, we're going to try this. Oh boy, and there was so much news about AI and voice when SAG-AFTRA made a deal with video game companies, and this one other company illegally copied this voice actor's voice, and everybody went ballistic on them. You can't do that. These NFT guys and these crypto guys and these AI guys don't seem to understand what copyright law is. They simply do not. They think if they have an NFT of something, they own that NFT of it. No, they don't. You don't. You own nothing. You know what you own? You own you own a URL. That's all you own. And I could put whatever I want. I could put a dog shitting, a video of a dog shitting, and replace whatever content you have there, like your Bored Ape, and now your NFT is just a dog shitting. All you own is a web address.
I'll never forget that story about those guys that bought a first edition of Dune.
And they thought they owned the rights, and they're going to destroy it.
They scanned it and then destroyed it.
They wanted to. They were stopped from doing that because they found out, wait, we don't own the rights to Dune?
I just don't know how they got to that conclusion. That was just amazing.
They're white suburban idiots.
Yeah.
Most of these NFT guys are white, suburban, middle class. They're not rich and they're not poor. So they have enough money that they wish they were richer, but they're not poor, so they can't buy useless shit. They have to worry about other things. And they're very materialistic, and all they want is money, 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 and they are the clarion call for grifters everywhere. Grifters look at them and say, yep, there's my meal ticket. This is the only way that Elon Musk isn't destitute right now, is that he twice did pump and dumps on Bitcoins. And Bitcoins are being artificially kept alive by companies that need Bitcoins to be a thing. But slowly, hopefully, they'll just run out of money to back it so we can get rid of Bitcoins too.
Who knows? It definitely does seem like every bit of hype that they had just 4 years ago is now just dust in the wind. It never mattered.
Well, it's like Enron. If you're built on nothing, eventually people are going to realize you're built on nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the South Sea Company. That was built on nothing. You have 3 ships going to the Americas once a year.
Yeah. You're
not going to make money on that. But John Blunt kept on pumping that lottery, pumping it. So people, it's so easy to do a grift. I mean, Ponzi made it easy.
Yeah. It's sad. It's sad for all those. Well, I mean, it is sad to a certain degree, but also those people bought into it, and like you should always do your research for it before investing. And
the thing that they want no regulation, and they didn't realize no regulation meant you can get ripped off easily, and there's nothing you can do about it. No one's gonna help you.
Yep.
If my bank goes, if Citibank goes bankrupt, the FDIC is going to make sure that I get all my money back.
Do your research before you invest. FOMO is the worst investment policy.
There is an old saying, a fool and his money are soon parted.
Yep.
If it seems too good to be true, it's too good to be true, and there's no such thing as a free lunch. Research. And, if something's based on nothing, you're not going to get anything. Also, the number one thing actually is never invest without understanding that you might lose everything. Never invest anything that you can't afford to lose. Because I'll tell you something, you cannot make money in the stock market unless you have $100,000. If you have less than $100,000, you're not going to make anything. You're going to lose it all. You have to have a large investment portfolio before you start investing, because then you can afford to lose a bit. You'll still, it's like doing slot machines. You keep on popping the coins until you get a jackpot. A lot of times you're going to start running out of coins. You have to be able to keep pumping those coins in before you get the jackpot. Anyways, NFTs weren't a terrible idea. I mean, being able to carry things over in multiple, in multiple scenarios would be nice, But then, what happens is that it became a commodity instead of a thing, instead of something that you owned. No one ever buys Bitcoin to buy anything. It's an investment, and that's why the SEC has gotten in, and why Binance is about to get nutsacked.
Mm-hmm.
And thank God for that. One thing I'm going to tell our listeners: hey, go watch the 30 under 30 criminals, because a lot of times 30 under 30 of Forbes' lists, if they're not actors, they're scam artists. It's Sam Bankman-Fried, Elizabeth Holmes, that guy who made the truck that was powered by gravity, and they're all there. They're all there. You look at these pass lists of 30 under 30 and you say, oh, that one's in jail, that one's in jail, that one's in jail, that was convicted, that was in jail. I'm serious. Do it. I mean, there's an entire group that talks about the 30 under 30 jail people. Anyways, let's talk about something nicer. Go ahead, Scott.
Okay.
Naoki Yoshida.
Naoki Yoshida thinks Final Fantasy XVII should be directed by someone new. This is from Eurogamer. Square Enix is Naoki Yoshida thinks Final Fantasy XVII should be directed by someone new to make a game with challenges that suits today's world. Yoshida was interviewed by Sony's Shuhei Yoshida on the Game Maker's Notebook podcast and candidly discussed development of Final Fantasy XIV and XVI as well as the future of the series. When jokingly asked if directing Final Fantasy XVII, Yoshida replied that nothing has been decided yet. I've had the chance to work on 2 of these, 14 and 16, so maybe it's time for someone new instead of having the same old guys handle the next one, he said. As for what direction the next game could take, Yoshida quipped it could both be real-time action and turn-based battles, alluding to a split in the community, or go to the other extreme and returning to turn-based pixel art roots.
Yeah, that's Scott's. Yeah, I was about to say that's what Scott wants.
That's what I want. But I guess
we already have Sea of Stars and we're getting Aiden Chronicles 100 Heroes, so at least there's that.
He then replied more seriously, I'd like to see Square Enix use this gained experience from 16 to continue challenging ourselves in the action genre to make what we haven't made yet, with even greater storytelling, emotion, and impact. Is our next game going to be another weighty, serious fantasy, or maybe a grand adventure story for a younger audience? He asked, before concluding it's more fun pushing the limits. Next up, CPU3 is working on DLC for Final Fantasy XVI, which Yoshida said is certainly story-driven and not just extra gameplay. As the first part echoes of Falcon, he's already proven later this year the team will release Dawn Trail, the next expansion of Final Fantasy XIV.
By the way, today Microsoft accidentally released all their plans for beta testing Final Fantasy XIV and all that stuff. And then, like a few hours, I said, oops, sorry, we weren't supposed to say that, and they just took it away again. We're not supposed to say that just yet. So, TJ, what do you want from Final Fantasy XVII?
You know, as much so I'm kind of split because I want more stuff like Final Fantasy 16. I also like stuff like Octopath Traveler 2. I kind of just wanted them to continue on this path where they're doing this very, very you got the bigwigs you got the executives at Final Fantasy Square Enix doing this thing with Final Fantasy 16 where they're taking it in massively funded directions. But it ends up with like a kind of Devil May Cry story where I actually enjoyed. I don't know. I enjoy doing combos with Clive with the different gods. I also very much enjoy playing just like an old school retro JRPG. And I hope that they continue this path of pixel remasters and 2D HD games alongside like AAA, quadruple A versions of Final Fantasy.
Keep in mind, Sony paid for this, so it's what Sony wants, not necessarily what Square Enix wants.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
That's a good point. But I think TJ brings up a good point as well that I agree with him, that Square Enix has a variety of games that they're developing and working on. They're bringing back a Visions of Mana game, which looks great, and I think everyone's going to love that. But, I don't think that means they'll never make another pixel game. It just might not be Final Fantasy pixel game. It just might be...
It could be a spin-off. It's like Final Fantasy...
They could do a spin-off. They could do a remake. They could do... There's a lot of stuff they could do. I mean...
They made a mobile game, a Final Fantasy mobile game, which is really popular, by the way.
I thought they had one, yeah.
Yeah, they did. And it was really popular.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, like, I'm sure they can continue... like you said, remaking some of the older games, maybe like a Dragon Quest IV remake after Dragon Quest III comes out, which is also pixel. And and I remember they made Dragon's Quest 11 a pixel version of that, which was just crazy. So, I mean, who knows what they can do? I don't think I don't think they have abandoned pixel. It's just that they have a variety of things that they want to pursue in the different game types. And I don't know. I mean, Final Fantasy 17, I would love to see be a turn-based pixel game. And I guess maybe it's on the board of possibilities, but if it's not, it's all right. There's other games I'm sure that they can have be pixel turn-based games, like TJ was mentioning, Octopath Traveler and Triangle Strategy. They also did Live Alive, so there's lots of options.
Yeah, and the more they keep that variety alive, the more players they're going to be keeping along for their ride. Because, I know that there's folks that have no interest whatsoever in Final Fantasy 15 to Final Fantasy 7 remake to Final Fantasy 7 or 16. There's folks that just aren't interested in that action-heavy combat style. But there are a lot of folks that are kind of getting into Square Enix because they are into that more action-oriented style. I mean, I would even go as far as to wager that a Zoomer today that has played Final Fantasy VII Remake would very, I don't know, I want to say there would be like a 50-50 chance that they would sit down to a classic Final Fantasy VII and absolutely hate it because of how, it would feel slow, for one thing, but you get them in the door with the Final Fantasy VII Remake, and they might explore that stuff, and it's a shared conversation for all of us to have, and I think that's good for the community.
Finally, Rocksteady reportedly worked on a non-DC game before Suicide Squad. This comes from PC Games N. As Rocksteady Studios is working on its upcoming comic-inspired adventure, a new report seems to reveal that the developer allegedly never planned a Superman game. Instead, it reportedly may have been developing a non-DC multiplayer game. That's right, Suicide Skill the Justice League may not have been a follow-up project to any Clark Kent-based superhero game, and as previous rumors implied, a recent report claims that the following Batman Arkham Knight's massive 2015 release, Rocksteady took Arkham VR alongside an unannounced multiplayer game which was allegedly set in an original franchise rather than the DC universe. The Bloomberg report offers no other information regarding a supposed shelved original project from Rocksteady. It does, however, address the rumors of a possible past Superman game from the developer, calling it a rumor that won't die. The article states that the widespread allegation seems to have stemmed from James Stigfield's 2020 post on Twitter. Stigfield now says the information he received about a Superman project has its studios mixed up. I'm going to say that's bullshit because I talked to Rocksteady at E3 back in whenever it was that Arkham City was out, and I discussed the Superman game with them. So yeah, they did have a Superman game that was planned.
Mm-hmm.
The fact it's bullshit that they wouldn't have had that. I can believe they might have been also interested in making a non-DC multiplayer game, but then again, that would be way outside Rocksteady's proven. I mean, they basically do third-person action-adventure games. I've never seen them do a multiplayer game. Well, they have multiplayer modes for Batman, but I'm just saying about multiplayer game, like in that way. But no, they were working on a Superman game. Trust me, they were. Just never really got past the conceptual stage.
Yeah, I really want it would be so cool for somebody that gets Superman to do a Superman game, and not have it shelved by.
The problem with a Superman game is that you have to find a way for the game to be challenging with Superman, who has all of these abilities. And there's ways to do it. You can have him on War World. You can have him in a magic situation. There's any number of things.
Have I ever told you my $1 billion Superman game idea?
Okay.
The game would be that Superman is exactly as powerful as Superman should be, but the challenge
is having damaging things. Yeah, they tried that with a Superman game.
Nope. Well, hold on. Let me cook.
Hello?
To choose what crimes and
hold on. You have to start over again because you conked out there.
Oh, the challenge would be that as strong as Superman is, you have to choose what events and crimes you respond to. And if you don't keep the goodwill of like factions like citizenry, the press, the police, the politicians, the leaders, then you start to lose. And if you lose the trust of the people, your game is over as Superman.
Yeah, they've tried that before with City Health.
But like I'm talking about an immersive.
I get that. I get what you're trying to say. I mean, it's not the first time that's been brought. As a matter of fact, that's what I talked to Rocksteady about. You know,
I thought it was a good idea.
It is a good idea, but it's been tried. What might be interesting is if you just have a situation in which
have to fight like Lex Luthor plans and things like that. But like, I feel like the Superman being on the people's side is what makes him like the challenge of trying to fit in with humanity is what makes Superman cool.
Another thing is that you could always have it so that Superman loses all of his powers and he has to regain them, which is basically what you do when you have a level, when you have level progression and you have to choose, and you can incorporate all of that city stuff. It's just that things get easier, but things also get harder at the same time.
Yeah, you're right too. Like there are a few different routes that can be done with Superman. I think that there's plenty of things that folks could do. It's just a matter of whether executives would let them do it.
The problem with Superman, his only real problem is flying, because when you give someone that kind of mobility, then you can break the landscape. That's the problem they had, by the way, with the Flash game that went into beta, got as far as beta. The Flash game looked really cool because when you got faster, things went in slow motion, that sort of thing.
Yeah. I feel like Prototype did a good job with speed and being able to run through an entire city really fast.
And again, I might be the only person who's optimistic about Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. They recently announced that the first DLC for that game will be, guess who? Yep, the Joker. Because it's Rocksteady, and you have to Rocksteady cannot not have the Joker in their game.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder where the Joker is in this scenario, because in the Batman games, he was killed in Arkham City, if I remember correctly.
They confirmed that this. They recently confirmed, right, that this is like. Yeah, it's right there. This is after the Arkham series, so like this is in that universe, so he's definitely dead.
Then again, there's alternate realities. I mean, DC has tons and tons of, and it's not like the Marvel thing in multiverse in which, a popular character was killed. Don't worry, we're gonna just have his alternate self there. Injustice 2 does it really well. It's just that everybody has alternate versions of each other. That's why you have same characters fighting each other, or characters that should be dead fighting.
How would you feel if they went the route where they have Nightwing become Batman?
I wouldn't mind it. They had stories like that.
Yeah,
not in the Arkhamverse,
that's what I mentioned is that it's happened before, but I don't think they've set it up in this universe.
No, I'm anxious to see because
unless I'm mistaken,
Rocksteady, for all their faults, they're okay at action. I mean, they invited the entire, Batman Arkham style combat. But what their best ability is storytelling. And I'm not talking about the stories, I'm talking about the way they tell stories. So I know at least it's going to be very interesting to watch. I just hope they don't have every female character is beaten the shit out of, like they had in Arkham Knight. That game was borderline misogynistic.
Mm.
Game was borderline. It was disgusting at some points. Anyways, but I am looking forward to it. I am not one of those people who's going to auto-hate something just cause.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what people say about it when it's finally out in the wild, because it has been through the ringer as far as press goes.
Anyway, look for our show notes at gamingpodcast.net, along with the history news and our gaming history articles. We enjoy feedback, so just comments at our blog at gamingpodcast.net. Also, stuff like facebook.com/gamingpodcast. Subscribe to us on iTunes, leave us some iTunes comments, or actually Podbean. Podbean is a lot more stable right now. I don't know what's going on with iTunes right now, so Podbean. Anyways, you can find me on Twitter at jonaffalcon.com. What am I saying? At Twitter at jonaffalcon.
You can find me at Johnny Chugs.
You can find me at Trevor Moore.
And we will see you next week to talk about eating Pokemons.
Happy gaming, everyone.
Have fun, be cool, play games, y'all.